As much as I enjoy catching crappies and perch and walleye, it's those big bull bluegills that really intrigue me. I caught my first bluegill about 40 years ago, and I've been fascinated with them ever since. But I'm very fortunate, extremely fortunate, to have Lake St. Clair as my backyard pond, because I love nothing more than to chase big, fat, juicy ones. You know, the fishing and the water quality here is phenomenal. And what that's allowed me to do is sight fish all these years, giving me that opportunity to observe the behavioral patterns of these bluegills, but most importantly, how they responded and interacted with the baits that I was offering them. There's absolutely nothing more testing than having a 10-inch bluegill fanning its pectorals, just staring and staring at your jig, and eventually disappearing forever. I learned real quick that 10 and 11-inch class bluegills behave very differently than those 8 and 9-inch. In fact, so differently that I actually swear that they are two different species. These bulls can be so elusive and lethargic like, I literally have to downsize almost everything just to get them to commit, or not even commit, just come in and take a look. You know, I even give consideration to my line. I love the limpness of braided line, and because I'm in a shack and I'm not outside and I'm sight fishing, I can get away with using just a standard braid. But if I got to spend any time outside the shack, I'm going to definitely go with ice specific line, which has got a nice coating on it. Before braided line actually existed, I was using my mom's sewing thread, and you'll see that if you buy a good quality thread, the breaking point of this is about 3-4 pounds. You're going to want to buy polyester, not cotton, because if you get the cotton, the water's just going to soak right in there, and if you've got to be anytime outside the shanty, then you're going to have a whole shitload of problems. Also, what's beautiful about this is I like that I can change the colors and match the environment that I'm fishing in. I personally do tie up a leader, and I'll use 2, 4, 6 pound test of a fluorocarbon leader. Invisalign works pretty good, and I'll actually attach that to my main line with an Alberto knot. So reaching into my treasure box, you can see that I like to use a lot of tiny tungsten jigs, anywhere from 1/16 all the way up to 1/100th of an ounce. Even single hook sometimes, that's about all that's going to work. During the soft water period, I am strictly artificial, but through the ice, I like to use live bait 90% of the time, and that's going to be maggots, also known as spikes. My color of choice is obviously red. I'm not going to say that there is a proper way of baiting your hook or a wrong way, but I'm just going to say this is how I like to do it. So if you've got your spike there, now you see that pointed end? That there is the head. The blunt end over here, that's the anus, and it should have 2 little dots on the end of it. So if they're moving around on you too much, just touch them and they'll tighten right up, much like your sphincter muscle. If you come down to the blunt end and you just nick the skin just like that, you won't kill it. It'll still be able to move around and you'll keep them alive. They'll stay like that all day long, honestly. Sometimes bluegills, you gotta pack the jig with a bunch of them, and sometimes they're so finicky, just a single maggot will do. I got one more thing I'd like to share with you before all this ice melts and all the tulips start to pop up. And that is when I'm in my hut sight fishing, I can get directly above the hole. And what that allows me to do, depending on the depth of the water and how thick the ice is, I can see off to the sides, 2 to 6 feet all the way around this hole. And most oftentimes, that's when I notice there's a hubcap of a bluegill sitting right over there, chilling out, just watching everything that's going on directly below my hole. The way I look at it, I've done everything correctly. I've already grabbed his attention. Now I just got to close the distance, get him to close the distance, and commit. And I give him the good old switch-a-maroo. Off to the side, I have another one baited up and ready to go, with obviously a significantly smaller bait. And I pop that baby down just like that. Now I can almost guarantee you, if you do that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to catch that fish and get your photo taken with a nice big bull. Be safe on the ice, guys. If you've got a spud, make it thud.